Welcome to The Bestie Perspective, a raw, unfiltered space where we explore the mind-body-spirit connection. Every week, we dive into personal growth, holistic healing, and life's ups and downs to inspire, support, and remind you you're never alone on this journey. Hey besties, thanks for joining our podcast where we bring you more of ourselves each week, and today will be no different. This episode is no fluffs, just vibes, and even more so today with energy vibes. We're diving in and discussing energy medicine, healing therapies, and all things in between. We've learned about energy in science class, right? We know there's different forms like kinetic, potential, thermochemical, light, electrical, nuclear, and sound energy. The three of us as nurses are familiar with biological forms of energy, even on a cellular level with adenosine triphosphate, ATP. And there are plenty of studies out there about energy even on a molecular and anatomic level. So today there's no need to prove to our listeners that energy exists. The direction I actually want to take us is energy medicine and humans using their own energetic ability to heal themselves and others. So park yourself in your charging station and tap into this conversation aimed to leave you activated or at minimum curious about your energetic potential. So energy medicine is a very broad and some would even say mysterious spectrum of holistic therapy that seems to be an ever-evolving field. Today, we're seeing modes and methods that draw on both ancient traditions and modern approaches. I've actually begun to see a sort of combination of things develop. For instance, I've heard people actually call something Reiki when they're actually using 2 or 3 modalities in one, not just the traditional Japanese way. Or calling something just a massage when it's including craniosacral therapy or acupressure, and so on and so forth. It's showing up more and more and being included more than people realize. So while energy medicine is often viewed with skepticism in the modern medicine world, many people report real benefits. So if you've heard of energy work, and whether you felt skeptical or interested, today will be an overview of what I feel people should know. So let's break it down. When it comes to the parts and structure of human energy, what I know to be true from research, in-person instruction, and hands-on experience is that everyone has an energy field, energy centers, and energy channels. So with the energy field, it's often called in science your biofield, vibrational field, electromagnetic field, or in more spiritual terms, your aura. Maybe you've heard of it put that way, the light body, spirit body, subtle body. And its job is to sense, interpret, and also project energy signals inside and around us. It's our connecting mesh to the matrix of life. And then energy centers, and depending on location and country, these are referred to as chakras, prana centers, tantric wheels, and these centers receive, process, and distribute energy from the outside world. But also each chakra is linked to specific emotional and psychological qualities, and therefore corresponds with various functions of associated organs and nearby systems in the body. And then lastly, what I said was energy channels. People call them meridians, prana pathways, and chi channels. And they transport energy and facilitate communication by connecting to organs and systems of the body, kind of like a highway. So energy flows through and to these specific parts, and practitioners, those practiced and professionally trained to sense distortions, can assist an individual to return to a natural state of openness and flow. And it's important to note that any practitioner is not supernatural, but perhaps more naturally inclined to be tuned into sensing energy. Sure, they can be gifted. However, I want everyone listening to know that we can all sense and feel and read these energies. It's just that many of us have not been taught or don't practice feeling and quote unquote listening enough to know that we too have the power to do so. And it can show up differently in each of us in how we sense. So it's important to not get caught up in someone else's abilities and put them on a pedestal to the point where you, the individual, are not stepping into your own recognition of power and ability. So now that I've put that out there, ladies, I'm curious, before meeting me, had you heard of these parts of the human energy field?
I think not in nearly the depth that I got to learn with you, because I think I was taught that, we as humans have our own electric current, right? And some of maybe the things more in school that we learn in that way. But when I went to Interfusion Festival for the first time, which is a yearly festival that I love to go to, I think I must have went to my first one before we met, because it was 10 years ago.
Okay.
It must have been right before, around the time. And I remember being in this class where, they were like, okay, like, kind of scoop your energy, gather your energy into a ball. And we were kind of working with it in that way. But I don't think I was quite as connected to it all as I am now, because I didn't really understand it. So that's why I would say yes and no. Like, I think I got a little taste, but I feel like until I started working with you and talking with you about it, I had no idea, like, all the different complexities that there are to it and all the different ways you can work with it. And so I would say a little bit, but you really, I think, shined your light on it for me.
Nice. No, you bring up a good point that a lot of people do know humans have energy in some way, shape, or form, and then that's where the train stops.
Mhm.
So I'm glad we're doing this episode today. What
Me
about you,
too.
Hannah?
Nuh-uh. I didn't know any of that before I met you. I think like the extent that it went was, I'm sure there'll be people out there that relate to this, but somebody's aura was something only that supernatural gifted people could see.
Yes.
And even that's questionable. It might just be in movies and that.
Yes. Or anime or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It seemed magical. I think that's what you're reminding me of too. Is like, yeah, I guess when I thought about it previously, it did seem like this magic, this thing you had to be special to tap into, when really we can all do it. We're all special.
Yes.
Exactly. So I want to actually list out some, because I think there are modalities out there that people don't even realize there are energy medicine modalities and methods. So going with some international forms here, we got China, Philippines, India, Japan. So let's start with Qigong, pranic healing, Jinshin Jitsu, acupuncture and acupressure, sound therapy, Reiki, and Tai Chi. Many of you listening may be like, oh, I've heard of Tai Chi before. Oh, I've heard of that before. But yeah, that would be included in energy medicine. And then even in our country or national or Western forms, therapeutic touch, healing touch, there's biofield tuning, craniosacral therapy, polarity therapy, EFT tapping or emotional freedom technique tapping, matrix energetics, and what I fell upon was integrative energetic medicine. So many forms. But ladies, whoever wants to start, share with our audience which, if any, have you tried? Or could be one that's not from my list.
I think besides the cranial sacral therapy, I think I've tried almost everything that you mentioned at some point or another. One of my favorites that's just popping off to me today from the list is Qigong. And when I first got introduced to that, it was a lot of fun. I didn't really know what to expect. I remember I was just like, oh, I'm gonna try this class and see what it's like. But getting to connect your breath work with the different, hand positions to move energy around, I felt like I really felt that difference in my body after, my mind and body, because you had this calm and this clarity after, but also the movement felt like it woke your body up, the movement and the flow of the energy. So I feel like that's one that I'll share for today. That's been really fun to do.
I love when we learn about each other on these podcasts, because I didn't know you ever tried Qigong. How cool.
Yeah.
I just looked through. I have tried a handful of these. I've tried Qigong once. Let's see what else. I'm not sure about pranic healing. Does that include any type of breath work? Because I feel like I've done some type of breath works where they've like labeled it as pranic healing, but I'm not as informed about that one.
It can be. It's kind of a full body one usually. Well, I've done one pranic healing kind of group session. Lauren, I feel like you might have done more pranic healing than either of us, right?
Like
pranic healing?
Do you mean with you or in general?
No, I think you were showing me. I remember you came over, we were hanging out, and you ended up showing me this technique of like shaking out your body, and you said it was from pranic healing.
Yes. So maybe I have. I just didn't know it was under that umbrella. But I was gonna say the part of healing or energizing the body's field without touch. I've had experiences with you, Eileen, with the integrative energetic medicine that you practice. I remember you doing work on me where you weren't touching me, but I actually got to feel it, and that was so cool.
Awesome. But any others? Sorry, Hannah, did you? I know pranic. So maybe you have tried pranic healing.
It might be. I don't remember. I think I may have tried that one. That's why I was like, okay, let me ask a little bit more about that, what that one looks like. And then as far as like Western forms, EFT I have done. I got some coaching one time, and a coach that I've worked with in the past, she specialized in and had a certification in EFT and tapping. And it was very soothing to my nervous system. I really liked that. And if you're feeling like overwhelmed, or if your nervous system is very on and activated, it's a very nice way to like self-soothe and like work back to a natural or a calmer state. I don't know a ton about it. I'm definitely not an expert, but that's just been my experience as the client side receiving it.
Yeah. No, I can completely agree. I think a lot of people have done that particular technique and don't know that they're specifically tapping on same meridian channels and meridian or points that even acupressure or acupuncture uses. So that was a great one though for even stress and getting it into your body, whatever the statements are that you're saying while tapping. For people who don't know, it's you tap certain points on your body and you're saying certain phrases, and it really does kind of ingrain into you, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So people have reported physical sensations, emotional sensations, euphoria, to sometimes flat out detox symptoms. So I want you ladies to think about what you've experienced with some of these and share. I'm going to start by telling what some of my clients have experienced and what I've seen as the practitioner. I know that I can feel and sense, and I've felt detox symptoms before. I've felt emotions, waves of emotions. I felt physical temperature changes and tingling and all that. But even seeing my clients, I have seen the whole spectrum. I've seen where they don't feel a thing and they're like, are you doing anything to me? And if that's ever anyone listening to this, that doesn't mean that nothing's being done. It's usually your disconnection to your body and your own ability to sense. It's usually that you've, got blinders on in some way, shape, or form, or you've just not practiced in listening to the body. And then I've had clients say, I have been sick for 2-3 days, like flu-like symptoms. Then I've had clients that are full-blown writhing, and you would think I'm doing an exorcism on my table.
I've seen videos like that on Instagram before, and I'm like, yes. Is that real?
I firsthand have seen it, and where the client has their eyes closed and they don't know where I'm at on their body, and it's corresponding to what I'm doing. And I'm like, this is freaking cool.
I felt it
that
from
must
you.
Be so cool to witness.
Yeah.
Say that again, Lauren.
I said, I felt it from you. I specifically.
Like, you mean like you felt it in a certain area and you're like, oh, I felt when you were there or when you were over here.
Yes. Because I remember when I was laying on your table and you were working on me one day, and because we always debrief after. And I think I remember sharing or the areas that were maybe even twitching on me or moving and I couldn't control it. And you were like, yeah, I was actually working over that area when that was happening because my eyes were closed. And later I remember just being like, oh my gosh, I felt this like wave of tingling. And then like different parts of my body were twitching and I couldn't control it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. She's waking up to full-blown exorcism mode.
I got the exorcist twitches.
I love that.
Yeah, but you had that experience, and you did also tell me the cool experience with acupuncture when you started thinking through some things and you said a specific statement. Share that with us. I loved it.
Oh my gosh, you're taking me back. Okay, so
yeah. You're telling yourself it's going to be okay or that you are okay. Something along those lines.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm so glad you brought this up.
It was so cute.
I forgot about it and I was like, wait, this is fun. Okay, so it's funny because I was actually going to share acupuncture anyway, just because I had never done it before. Long story short, threw my back out 2 months before my wedding a couple years ago and found acupuncture. And anyway, I noticed in general when I would be laying there and I had all the needles in throughout my body, I would feel this euphoria, but I could feel the swirling of energy. And then the time that Eileen's referring to is I was saying some affirmations to myself. And every time I would say one, I would almost get this ripple through my body and almost chills, where it was like a pulse through my body of energy with every repetition. Like she said, if I said, I'm okay, I would feel this ripple and wave of energy through my body. And it would go, and then it would dissipate. And then and when I said, I'm okay, again, it would ripple through again so powerfully. And I was kind of playing with it a little because I was like, holy crap, it's every time I'm speaking to myself, I feel this wave of energy flow through. And it was so cool. Nothing I ever experienced.
Wow.
Very neat.
That is so cool. And that really makes me reflect on how many times I've heard quotes or people talking about how you talk to yourself impacts you way more than you know. Like your body is even listening to you according to your experience.
And I'm glad you said it that way because that's how it felt. It felt like for the first time I was tangibly feeling how the words I said to myself felt.
And I think you took note of how nice it felt because you were saying kind words. You were saying good affirmations. Imagine how it feels like all the shitty talk that we do, guys. Right. I mean, what we're doing to our body when we're saying those negative words.
Yeah. So it felt like I was plugged in and feeling my affirmations actively. But yeah, I think it's a great point. What is it doing to our body really when we're not saying the positive things, when we're stuck in the negative loop?
Yeah. So I'm going to pose another question that I feel like I already know the answer from you guys, but we'll see. We'll see. Should energy work be used in combination with medical care or as a replacement?
Ooh, I think this one is definitely dependent on the person, for sure. Because I think it's so powerful on its own. And if somebody's curious, I always personally like to lean toward the holistic first. So I would totally say, depending on what your situation is, lean into that and feel it out. But somebody else might need a combination of medical care and energy work to have the best effect. Because I've heard of people where, say, they're going through cancer treatments, but the pain from it is so bad, the only thing that worked was getting Reiki.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they were needing the chemo and the radiation and all that and that medical care, but the only thing that helped with their pain was Reiki. So I've totally seen both sides of the coin, I think. So I feel like it just kind of depends on the individual situation.
Okay. What about you, Hannah? Should it replace or in combination?
So, love what Lauren just said. I think to expand it even more, a lot of the reason why I believe it should be used in combination at the minimum is because a lot of our medical care, Western medical care, is Band-Aid approach, symptom fixing, not so much root cause. I see a lot of shifting in that, but for the majority, especially people covered by government insurance and where you may not have access to financial resources that you can pay to get to the root cause of your medical things. It's so important to be in tune with your body, to really know yourself, to be able to advocate for what you know is right for you in your body, and paying attention to how you feel and not gaslight yourself every 5 seconds of like, do I really feel this? Like just being really comfortable and practicing so that you know how you respond to medical treatments, for example. I think that point alone is one huge reason why it should be used in combination with medical care, because it makes you closer to your own body.
Very true. Yeah, some things to note. I will say it can complement Western medicine. And I don't know that a lot of people know that many hospitals now offer energy therapies like Reiki alongside, I believe, John Hopkins? Hopkins? Wait, sorry, guys.
Hopkins.
There's a blooper. Okay. Yeah, I believe John Hopkins might be one of them. There were a couple that I'd heard in the past before that are escaping me at the moment. But yeah, alongside chemotherapy or surgery to help with pain, anxiety, or just recovery in general. So a lot of people say it's not a replacement for conventional treatment, but that it can enhance quality of life and support healing. And I can agree with that. So that was the first thing to note. Another thing is that scientific evidence is mixed but growing. So some studies show benefits in just reducing anxiety, but improving overall well-being, but particularly around stress and pain reduction. And critics can argue that placebo effect explains much of the benefit. However, even placebo can be powerful, especially in chronic illness and palliative care. Biofield research is ongoing, though still considered fringe by mainstream science. But that said, there's the HeartMath Institute out in California that had discovered and had tested that the heart, its cells have its own neurites, not neurons, but like neurons, its own sensing ability, measuring heart electromagnetic fields. And it's been doing a lot of research out there. when it comes to the heart and energy. And even the CIA had an energy training program. Have you ladies heard about this?
I have. My brother introduced me to it, and he would like send me YouTube videos from time to time.
What?
We've had a few conversations about it, but I don't know that much.
Yeah, so there was one specific called the Gateway Project. And that was literally a training thing. It would take you through steps, kind of like to meditate and to tap into your energy field and to feel the swirling of it. And it was a whole method.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say, you just reminded me when you worked with me, when you were doing table work on me, that is what I felt was like the swirling, not even a swirl. It felt like almost like a wheel of energy with the breath work you had me doing. Yes, it was a current. It was going like through the top of my head, down to the bottom of my feet. And I couldn't really, it almost felt like it was coming back and like washing back over.
Yeah, I will have to send you a photo. That's exactly the human current. It's like a donut, if you will, like coming through the top of the head, down the feet, coming up and back around.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Wow.
So
not Gateway Project, but Islands Project on me.
There we go. Yes. Who needs CIA training when you can just come to me?
Come to Doni for her donuts of energy.
Oh gosh. But also, what about even Vietnam and other wars where they used remote viewers? I don't know if you guys had heard of that either, but it's to see from far away. Like you're here in your home and you are able to remote view another location that is miles and miles and miles away.
That is what I've talked about with my brother before, because he was saying like I don't know if it was from those studies or if they are doing like new like verification tests. I don't know if that's like the right word for it, but where people are trying either from the research or people are trying it and kids can like tell you what their parent wrote, like what number they wrote on a notebook in another room, or like pointing out exactly where like a miscellaneous like sock was placed in the house, or like those types of remote viewing. I've heard about that.
Very cool. I mean, it shouldn't surprise us that government agencies know about energy, but it's just not highly talked about, right? So another thing to note, though, is it's highly individualized. Responses vary widely. Some people feel major shifts while others notice little. And success often depends on openness, consistency, and the practitioner's skill. So, what do you guys think? If results of energy work are subjective and not everyone feels it immediately, who do you think should try it? Who might be a good fit for energy work, in your opinion?
I think anyone who's open to it, honestly. Because I feel like as long as you're open to the possibility, you're opening the door for it to work. Where if somebody comes in very, very close-minded, they're already manifesting, they're already creating that it's not going to work for them. So I think as long as you're open and interested in it, give it a try.
One of the first things that comes to my mind is, well, it was like anyone, but second to that was if you've experienced trauma, which I think the numbers are like 1 in 4 or something, people experience trauma, and how that lives in your body, even when you like have gotten over it and moved on with your life. Those unresolved things that still live in your body can come back and affect you, later on in life, or it can be affecting your growth or quality of life in ways that you don't know. And I think energy work can really help you tap into feeling safe in your body.
It's so true.
And like releasing things that maybe you don't even remember because they were so traumatizing that you suppressed it. And so remembering is not going to really work. But I think it will help.
Yeah, no, very well put. And it's so accurate in what I've seen a lot of people. Any client that's come to me, there's often something that I'll reveal that, brings up something from childhood. My term that I use a lot is something harbored in your nervous system. You guys have even maybe heard me say that. This could have been harbored in your nervous system for such and such years. Yeah. So, another note on energy medicine, it encourages self awareness and empowerment. It often involves learning to listen to your body, as we're just saying, and trusting your intuition, which we just had an episode on as well. So, practices like breath work, meditation, self healing exercises that give people tools to manage their own energy and stress levels. But just to caution, not all claims are evidence based. So I get why there's skepticism out there. I don't fault people for being like, this is a crock of shit. Like, what are you trying to, what snake oil are you selling, lady? Right?
Yes.
I love that you brought that part up.
Right? Yeah, I get it. I have no judgment for people who may, even after this podcast, like this isn't to convince people. There are people who are like, cool, that's neat that it works. I'm convinced, but it's not for me. More power to you, So I would just say be wary of anyone promising quote unquote cures for serious illnesses. Check credentials, look for reputable practitioners, and don't abandon medical care in favor of energy healing alone, especially if you're new to trying it, I feel like a complete switch for anyone could be a bad idea, actually. So, ladies, do you think these modalities have a place for somewhere you wouldn't expect, like the corporate world, like workshops for coworkers, employee morale and team building, empowering staff by showing techniques that can be used in the middle of the workday, perhaps?
That's exactly where I was going to say it can fit in the corporate world, because these are things that you can do on yourself without anybody knowing sometimes. Sometimes you don't even have to move your hands or like breathe differently. Like, it's not going to be obvious. You can do them in the middle of the workday. So there's definitely a place for that.
I agree too. I also just think the sheer benefit of the education of it and how that would impact people. Drawing that awareness, just starting to learn to pay attention to your body, right? So then somebody might be able to say, oh, this is starting to bubble up in me. This is starting to stress me out. Oh, I learned this breathing technique or whatever it is. I think even just the education of it and the awareness of what it is being brought in, even if it wasn't active workshops being held, I think would be really powerful.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, Hannah touching on that's probably where it's most needed is like office and corporate world. I completely agree. I think workshops could be great for enhancing so much and increasing production. And more in the education piece, it's 100% accurate too, in that even in just me telling people about the energy field and having the idea of, oh, this is my own bubble, my space, if you will. And they're kind of like, oh, I could feel this person when they stepped close to me. I think I was sensing their energy field. And they feel this sense of empowerment. Like, that's why when I walk into the room, it felt off. Or that's why as soon as if anyone's ever looked up and someone's staring at you, like, oh, okay, there are things beyond the barrier of my skin that I'm not seeing. I'm able to sense my world even more than I realize. So yeah, very empowering to have the education piece.
Definitely. And even just, hearing you both share, it also made me think another place that maybe you wouldn't expect that it's probably so needed is the hospital. the medical field, right? Another spot where there's highly stressed out people, life or death situations, that this awareness and these tools, I think, could really transform some people's lives. Not only the patients, but the workers.
Right. It's great to hear that Reiki's being offered to patients, but boy, do some nurses and doctors and other workers
they need it too.
Caregivers need care too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I thought of that is a layer deeper is how sometimes our coworkers, they're like just coworkers. They may be just another body in the room, or someone that you are annoyed to work with, but you have to like figure out a way to like be happy working with them or to make it work, so to say. And having a deeper awareness of yourself and your emotions and thoughts and all the things that you might be working through throughout the day. I feel like once you've mastered those, it gives you more insight into like what someone else might be experiencing, or like how to almost support your coworkers because you've done the work yourself, or like you have the capacity and the know-how so that you can even support your coworkers better than maybe their manager.
Yeah, exactly. But even I feel like a lot of people go backwards and go outside of themselves. Let me try to understand my coworker first. Whereas, Hannah, as you're pointing out, if you are doing the internal work and you have this body awareness and understand just how interwoven it is, and your thoughts, emotions, or feelings, physically even, when you have that level of awareness, then you are not just cheerleader coach, but even better than the manager. You're capable of understanding outside of yourself. I think we always try to go the other way in reverse.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was thinking about how if even just a handful of employees out of the bunch worked on energy work like that, the type of connections, deeper connections they could create with their coworkers and making it feel like a more cohesive environment.
I mean, just imagine like the three of us, a bunch of people like the three of us working together. It'd be so great.
Yes. That's a fun work day right there.
Right?
It's definitely empowering. I love sharing with people. So in those environments that don't want to consider anything, I love trying to take the weirdness out of it. And, not just the science or anything, but with people who don't believe or who are skeptic, I just kind of say, hey, let's just play with this. Let's just imagine. Let's just visualize a bubble around you, or a sphere, this and that, or this color in your chest area, whatever it is. And if you don't feel anything, it's okay. If you don't this or that, perfectly fine. But it's just going to help your psyche. It's just going to get you mentally in a space I want to get you. And people can warm up to just the basics of that. But what might you say to a skeptic who's never tried energy work?
I feel like you put it pretty well just then. Like kind of, are you, maybe like just be open to trying it? And at least if you try it, it doesn't have to be for you, but what if you're pleasantly surprised? So I think I would just say be open to the possibility. Even if you have a lot of thoughts that are potentially going against it, even like you kind of mentioned, that it'll still have the benefit of getting you into a good headspace, regardless of if they feel there's any additional work happening.
Right.
So even if they can think of it as a mindfulness practice of, grounding and centering themselves as opposed to this big old woo-woo thing happening. But I think I would just say, what's the harm in trying? Right? Because it's either going to be for you or it's not. And there's really no pressure either way. But at least, you'll know. You'll have your answer.
Yeah. What's the harm in trying? I like it. And Hannah, what do you think? What might you say to a skeptic?
I've been bouncing in a few different places in my head because I'm thinking about like my mom and aunt's generation and like even what I would say to people like their age, but also just anyone.
That's a good point you're bringing up, even with just that comment, though, that sometimes people, older generations, are going to be less open-minded, Traditions can stick strongly to you, and you don't want to open up to any new ideas.
Yeah. I guess what I might say to a skeptic that's never tried energy work is to, and don't forget how fun life is and all of the things that we're meant to explore and learn in this life. And what better way to learn about yourself than to really know your own energy and, all of the things that Lauren said, but don't forget to embrace your creative side. Cause I love the way that you put it, Eileen. It's like, well, even if you can't feel it, like, let's just play. Let's imagine. Yeah. I think that's something that we forget to do so much of when we get older. It's like, who has time for fun and games when I've got bills to pay?
Right.
People sometimes don't even have the energy, right, to actively, intentionally bring that into their life. And so I think for me, that has been a key thing when it comes to exploring my own energy is, yeah, I can't see it with my eyes, but the more that I can tune in and feel in my body, something that's been so like difficult for me, even feeling my emotions, how they feel in my body, bringing fun and creativity and play into that and just kind of like flowing with it that way has been so empowering. And it's come into like energy work too, naturally because of that. And I feel like it's been tapped in a lot easier because of play.
Nice. So you tell them play, have some fun. Don't be such a Debbie Downer.
Yeah. Sorry about the long-winded response, but yeah, just play.
No,
just
great.
Explore it.
I wanted to pose a question to you, Eileen.
Sure.
As an integrative energetic medicine practitioner, always excited when I could say that without messing up. But maybe to just give a little insight to the followers, just even sharing what it's like for you or what of your favorite parts about getting to practice this and work with clients in this way, to just give insight from the practitioner role and what that's like.
I love this question. Thank you, madame. Okay. So, favorite part. Honestly, I will say my favorite part is empowering the person and helping them realize that they can do this too. It shows up differently. Just because I may sense it with a sensation, someone may see something or a vision may pop up or they feel like the actual interpretation of energy comes across differently. So I kind of like to think of X-Men or something or any kind of Marvel characters that, we all have these abilities. We just haven't tapped into it yet. But my favorite part is awakening that. So when I have had skeptics even come that are trying to prove that I am wrong or that I'm not sensing, number one, they're always debunked. But number two, I'm like, don't worry. I don't need you to believe in my power. I need you to believe in your power. Let's rewrite that script for a second there. And then I will also share that what a lot of people maybe don't even realize is that the healing is available for everyone, including me, the practitioner. So I feel good after energy work. I will say that sometimes in bigger groups, I can feel depleted, but I am not necessarily always. It's not me giving my life force to someone kind of thing. Yeah, there's a lot of right. It's like, now I'm drained, battery low, I gotta go plug in. No. What a lot of people misunderstand is that I am creating a safe, healthy, healing environment for your body to get back to how it naturally is. We already are flow and wellness and perfection, and we just forget that. We've put these ideas, these limitations, memories, trauma, and all that's harbored in our energy field against that. But it's often this undoing, this deprogramming that I am accomplishing. So I always have to correct people and say, I'm not doing anything to you. I'm helping you get back to, I'm helping your body undo. So the education piece is also a lot of fun. But now you actually, in asking that question, you made me think about one thing that I cannot stand when other practitioners say it in a way of, you're blocked, your chakra is blocked, or your this and that or whatever is blocked.
You're
and
cursed.
That is,
I'm just kidding.
or you're cursed. Yes, there's been all kinds of crazy things that people say to make a buck, unfortunately, and try to take your money. And I definitely want to let everyone know out there that it's never blocked. If a chakra has, for example, a distortion, it can be enlarged, it can be shrunk, it can be flickering, it can be veered to the left or the right, or there's all kinds of distortions that can happen in the body, but you're never shut off. Like, when is your soul shut off?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. It's always flowing to you, through you, around you, and about you. There may be stagnation and, as I said, distortion. So even the skeptic is tapped in to some extent. They just may not be able to sense it.
And I'm glad you said that too, because I was literally thinking as you were saying it, just so everyone knows, it's such a green flag practitioner thing for Eileen to say what she said, because when you said it's not about me proving my power, it's about proving their power. And I think that's a very green flag thing to look out for anyone who's dabbling or looking to try this work, because you are going to see those people who are touting themselves as this all-powerful, it's me and my power, and I'm the one who's healing you, where I think the way you put it is exactly how it is, that you're awakening and showing them the power that they have. You're just creating that safe space for it to happen. So green flag.
Well, thank you for saying so. Yeah, no, it makes me think of the people that I hear. I have clients that come very uncertain, like, hey, I've been to a psychic before, or I tried this one healing thing one time. They told me everything was blocked. All my chakras were blocked. I said, what? No, first off, all chakras can't be blocked, explain to them. Or even other people who say they told me I was cursed and I have to pay
Yes.
$500 or $1,000. Otherwise, the curse will stay with me forever. Like, so unfortunate.
I've heard that too, where somebody said, oh yeah, I saw this psychic. They said I was cursed. It's going to be like $1,000, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh my gosh, no, red flag. Yeah.
Wow. So I actually heard this story one time from like a ghost stories type of podcast. And it was this girl, she's a songwriter out in California. And when she started to get big, I forgot her name. If it comes to me, I'll say. But when she started to get big, then her team was kind of like, okay, you're getting stressed a lot. You need to go take a weekend and just go take care of yourself. So she took her big girl money and went to like this all-inclusive spa out there and just signed up to be pampered all weekend, essentially. And one of the things that she did was a massage. And she didn't know that whoever was giving her the massage was doing anything besides a massage. what the person was doing, I don't know. But what she reported afterwards with the massage and like during the massage was just feeling like a dense, heavy feeling. It felt super scary for her.
Ooh.
And like afterwards, she was seeing creatures. No, I shouldn't say creatures, but seeing figures in her hotel room. And it freaked her out so much that she left the place. And for months after that, she felt super heavy and like she couldn't let go of whatever had attached to her during the massage. And she confronted the lady about it, and she like tried to go to the hotel and everything and be like, what the fuck is going on with me? Like, what happened during the massage? That's not what I signed up for. I didn't ask for that. What is wrong? And the lady who gave her the massage said something like, oh, well, I'm a psychic. And it was just something like super vague. And she didn't expand at all after that and just kind of left it at that. And I was like, what the hell?
Wow. No.
And
that's...
It wasn't exactly like okay, you're cursed, you have to pay me $1,000 situation. Exactly put like that. But what she ended up doing, she said she somehow found a medicine woman, I think she called her, and she had covered her in a white drape, put a bunch of crystals in different parts of her body, and like did some energy work, I think. And she said after that, it wasn't a problem. And she said, in fact, at the end of the session, the medicine healer looked at her. She was checking the time on her phone, and it was a picture of her and her boyfriend. And the medicine healer like gasped and was like, oh, who is that? Like, and told her essentially like the guy was evil and terrible and need to get away from him as soon as possible. Goodness. And I was like, if she had told me that, I probably would be like, what the hell is wrong with you? But then she was like, yeah, he was actually very toxic, and that relationship ended 6 months later, and she couldn't have been more right.
Wow. There you go. Very interesting.
That's why I'm like, it's like a weird story, but that popped in my head because I think there are people who are out there who are even not just a skeptic, but maybe scared of energy work, because like that is a story that I've heard from a podcast, with spiritual, scaries, mystical, spiritual things.
Sure.
So,
and people do make it strange. And yes, you can have the dark route of it as well. We don't have to go too much into it, but one thing that I always tell people is you cannot have anything done to you that you have not allowed. So the bigger question is, why did this person allow this dense, dark energy? Let's get you to a place, to an identity in an energetic space where you don't ever allow that again. Because the disempowered always have fear. So it makes sense that anybody that's fearful and uncertain about this, they're not grounded in their power, and that they can decide to receive only good even. So I am all about empowering people about energy work because, I get it. It can be scary, or you're told a certain thing, and if you're not strong in who you are, you're going to be manipulated.
Yeah. And that makes me think even to like the final part I just said about why was she allowing that toxic man in her life?
See, that's where if they came to me, Eileen would have been asking the deeper questions and we'd have gotten it all sorted out.
CIA, and the A stands for Eileen.
But thank you, ladies, for sharing. And I wanted to close out saying that I have actually found that energy work is best as something complementary to mindfulness, as far as in my coaching. For me, I've seen it work best in my clients when combined with some talk therapy and mindset work involving the mind. Because energy medicine often emphasizes how emotions, thoughts, and beliefs can affect physical health. So practices like energy medicine often reduce stress, and it plays a major role in many chronic illnesses, right? Author Louise Hay says, every disease is caused by a mental pattern. And it's my belief that energetic medicine is just another way a person can pick up on and sense hidden or subconscious patterns. So once these mental patterns and beliefs that are being harbored in the nervous system are revealed, a person can return to health and wholeness. So at the end of the day, belief holds power. And yet, we believe things we can't necessarily see. We believe in air, gravity, magnetism, time. When it comes to spirituality, many people believe in a soul or an afterlife, and we can't exactly see those. What about a country's borders? Reality on a map, but physically invisible. So I hope we've opened your hearts and minds to the idea of energy work, besties. Thank you for sharing this energetically charged and expanded space with us. Like, share, comment, subscribe to the Bestie Perspective, and click on our link for all the things. And until next time, keep growing, keep glowing, and always trust in your own Bestie Perspective.